dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the...
Do we participate in a politics of cynicism, or do we participate in a politics of hope?
You can't be a world changer without being a changed man. Only changed people can change their world.
It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does.
All right, good day, everybody. Welcome to another exciting package of the Leadership Breakfast. And today I have a very exciting guest as usual. I have with me architect Salman Idris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. You're welcome, Billy.
He's a consummate businessman and he's a House of Representatives hopeful for 2023 from Kogi State, North Central Nigeria. Now, my first question to you will be about your journey so far in business. How have you been able to deploy the leadership skills you've gathered over the years to build such a successful business for young people out there watching you who are just starting out in business and want to reach great heights like you have done? What are the lessons that you've picked up over the years and have helped you build a successful business as a leader?
Thank you very much. Leadership, as you have said, is a trust, and leadership is premised on a lot of factors, and factors such as, of course, high sense of responsibility, high level of commitment, resilience, and you need to be very hardworking. You walk around the clock. Well, I wouldn't say I have built, well, we have been, moderately speaking, successful in the business world. I'm an architect by training. I studied architecture. I worked with government for some times, and I believe it also shaped some of my understandings of governance and policy formulations. I left government not quite long, but maybe about 3 years, about 4 years running now. And I left government then because I resigned to participate in the elections of the year 2019. That is the event running into the primaries then of my party. And it's just something that I have interest in. And of course you could see what I meant. I worked for about 20 years thereabout, and left at that particular critical time while my mates are aiming to be directors. I decided to opt out at that critical time to participate in politics. And from there, though I've been very conscious of entrepreneur. And so far so good. I'm in the business of construction, majorly business of architecture. Except for the general hardship that every businessman is going through, which is a global thing. I think we're still raising our head, we're still doing well on the field. But as I rightly tell people, the younger ones, you must build trust, you must be committed, you must be very responsible. And of course, you must even make a lot of sacrifices, not just for yourself, but even the society. But the one day is that you must have passion for whatever you do. If you do not have passion for it, it's going to be difficult for you to even be successful. Happy mission. Thank you.
Okay, so two things jump at me. The first thing I want to talk about or address, so to speak, is you talked about hard work, and then the other one is passion. But let's start with hard work. I know how difficult it was to track you down for this interview. You are up and down here and there, doing the business. For a young man working who is saying, "Oh, you know what? I've tried my best, but there's no work anywhere, so that's why I'm sitting at home." What's the first thing you tell that kind of person?
As I rightly said, a lot of people have actually, I heard that there's no work out there. But honestly, I quite disagree. There's a lot of work to be done out there. I think what people mean by there's no work out there is formal sector, where the government absorbs you. But which is glaring, how many of us can the government absorb? And those of us that government have absorbed, how many of us actually make a living wage? very few. What you're paid is, I can confidently tell you, it can hardly take you home. Now, for me, I'm in the business of construction, as I rightly told you. And before I dabbled into that business, I looked at it. Our society, of course, you know what our population looks like. And shelter is the first, one of the basic needs of man. And if you look at let's look at Abuja alone. Once you are good at what you do, I'm not saying I'm good, but once you're committed, once you're dedicated, once you're honest, I can confidently tell you, in the informal sector, you will be engaged. I'm in the business of construction. As you rightly said, to track me down, it's a whole lot of things. Yes, I will tell you that I was working with government. Maybe I'll give you a brief rundown of myself. I came into Abuja, came to serve. After service, I picked up work at the Federal Housing Authority. But of course, I'm a professional. It also permits me to do 1 or 2 practices at the close of work. Just look at it. If I close by 4 o'clock and go back home to lie down, of course, I'm going to be waiting for end of month. Of course, I started having referrals, people wanting to do designs. Of course, so from the process of design, I got interested in, why will I design for you? And somebody else goes to build. So I got interested in what is the issue about construction. So that is where I'm telling you the resilience comes into play. After doing the design, I want to do the construction. Of course, everybody knows construction is not an easy thing.
Absolutely.
It requires lots of your attention. Of course, I'm ready to give it. I remember in those days when we started, if I hear signs of rain, 10, 11 p.m., I pick up my car from Kuba. And my site was at Mabushide. I want to know the effect of that rain on my roof. I want to know, even because we're still a bit scared then. We don't want anything to damage our image that we're gradually building. And I can confidently tell you how many people are willing to do that now. We are very few. So once you are able, as I'm talking to you right now, if I find a man committed to construction, do everything, the works are there for them to do. I can confidently tell you. And in the process of you doing it, you must start small. That's the truth of the matter. Right. By the time you start small, people begin to, it happens to me. Clients will give me work. And by the time I do it, from amongst the team that are working, some clients are able to identify that, oh, this guy is good at this guy is good at this. I can confidently tell you before I tell you. They want to start patronizing that person because they have this opinion that, oh, okay, maybe I've become a bit expensive. Let's patronize the guy who has lower overhead. It's particularly last week I went to peg a building at Ibadan. The question you ask is that why do you have to pick me from Abuja to go and peg a building at Ibadan? The man has confidence in me, and that's all. Not that there are no architects or no builders in Ibadan, but he knew me here in Abuja, and of course he has an idea of what I do. Just to come to Ibadan and peg it. And right now the man is still telling me you will come periodically to supervise it. It's not as if I don't have anything doing, but again I must not complain. Because the same man who is telling you to come and pay tomorrow can have opportunity of opening up to a larger view. So that's the issue.
You have talked about so many things that young people need to learn in this second question. That's a lot to soak in. You have to be open-minded. You have to be hardworking. I get all these things. But let's go to the second one.
Yes.
Which is passion. I go to it because for someone to leave security, I don't think that's what they call it. The federal government job is security.
Yes.
Because that's you hardly get sacked or Exactly. So and then there's a passage to pension, gratuity. So for you to leave security and then decide to go into some people call it the murky waters of politics, and that shows enormous passion. What are the things that drive that passion for you as a person?
For me, in everything I set to do, it must be something that I'm convinced about, and that is to say, I have passion for that. The business that I lead, I have that passion. Let me use my business example. Because I'm in the business of architecture, if I'm driving by the street and I see a new thing come up, I park. I want to see what's happening there. I have parked to even offer free consultancy, free advice, just because I'm interested in what is going on. I don't know the person, because there are some constructions you may not have opportunity to do it more than once in your lifetime. You may not have the exposure to it. It goes beyond just building houses. How many of us have built factories before? How many of us have built bakeries before? Presently, right now, I'm building a bakery at Bowie for someone. I designed the bakery. But on getting into the bakery, I just realized that, oh no, I need to go back again. I started going into Lagos, checking existing bakeries just to make corrections on the things I've done. If I don't have passion for that, nobody has paid me for that. I did it, now I have widened my knowledge of bakery. In fact, I can confidently tell you, I want to set up a bakery for myself. I want to sell bread. So that is passion. Now, bringing it into governance, of course, you have rightly said something, living a known thing, what you call security.
Yes.
Government. Yes, it's true. I'll give you my history. I joined government receiving a little below 8,000 naira in 1999.
Wow.
By the time I left in 2018, I had not started any 120,000 naira per month.
Wow.
It's the Lord's truth I'm telling you. So tell me, if you check from 1999,
Yes.
a little less than 8,000 naira, down to 2018, a little bit above 120,000 naira. So in fact, it's 118,000 naira to be precise. So the question I will ask you is that with that kind of progression over that year to end this, after spending 20 years, and I have 35 years in service, remaining 15 more years, who is to tell me where am I going to rise to at the end of the 35 years?
35 years.
What again am I going to earn? So I needed to take the bold step. The question you will have been asking is that why did I take the bold step into politics rather than into business? Because these are economic considerations. Yes, it's true. Like I rightly told you, because I knew of this from the one that I entered the government. Honestly, I've been engaging into what I call part-time practice.
Right.
At the close of work, weekends. I'm a professional. It's just like a doctor. After his normal work in the government hospital, finds his way to go and do some extra things. He's allowed consultancy. So, from day one, right from when I was in school again, I've been interested in what is called politics. Of course, people look at
You did unionism?
Well, I wouldn't.
Or student politics?
I did student politics.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I don't understand when you say unionism, things. Some terminologies are not properly used in this country because I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what to use that simple. Yes, I did student politics.
Okay.
I started from ABU's area.
Okay.
From my 100 level. I contested the student union government of the university. I contested a particular position, one of the directorates. I contested, in fact, to be actually the director of food.
Okay.
In ABU then. Of course, I didn't finish from ABU. I proceeded to University of Jos. That's where I got my degree. By the time I got to the University of Jos again, I contested my departmental association, that is Student Architects Association.
Okay.
I contested again to be the secretary of that particular association. In all the two elections, I didn't win, but they are very challenging contests. Because what I have come to realize is that at the end of every contest, when I did the one in ABU, at the end of it, I became a very serious stakeholder in the running of the school. The same thing happened when I got to the University of Jos. I contested secretary. I didn't win. 2 years after, I sponsored someone to be president and he won. And I just realized that if I'm interested in how the thing is run, now I have a precedent. This is politics. That, of course, whatever idea I have, I could inject it into it. And of course, and I did it, and of course, honestly, it was a very successful tenure. So you could see back then, I've always had that instinct. Of course, coming into the larger society, I started work. Of course, I was also interested in what even goes on in my local environment. With the little money we're earning, because I started doing 1 or 2 businesses, of course, I had the concept of also giving back to the people. At my very early stage in life, I was working. I can confidently tell you, I remember once upon a time, I had a car. I bought the next car. I sold the other car. All I did with the other car was to do a borehole back home. Because why I just wanted to say, because I started looking at myself that, okay, I come from this society. I'm just privileged to have gone out of this society. Maybe if I didn't have that privilege, I would just remain in the village. I probably have been a farmer, just like the people I met there. So what I'm talking about, this is where I come from. This is my roots. These are my people. This is who I am. So what do? Give them little amenities that we can afford. And of course, borehole, which is water. Water is life, and it's one of the things that you find people, because we don't have pipe-borne water. So my people were drinking from streams, were drinking from wells. So we started putting borehole, and other people, well-meaning people too, started doing that. When we do that, we reticulate and for people to fetch. And this thing attracts a lot of attention, women every morning with children going to fetch water there and there. So gradually, of course, my people started. I was also I'll tell you one thing. I wasn't really cut out for partisan politics because I'm a civil servant. But while in Abuja, I would always call my people at home. How did this man emerge? How did this? When I heard the government has formed, especially at the state level, when they're sharing commissioner, who is the commissioner? Why is there no commissioner from my community? Why is there no commissioner from here? Why don't we have SA from here? Where are they determining these things? I got very interested. So of course I started going home. And I just come to realize that it's normal, everyday people. You just need to develop that interest. Of course, I already have it. It's innate in me.
Yes.
I started attending those meetings with them. That's why I find myself being part of what we call politics.
You mentioned something interesting, which every young person out there should understand, which is that it's not enough to have, whilst you devote your diligence and your hard work to doing the job that you are paid for, you are paid to do, it's also interesting that you should do your own job as well. So do your own thing as well. Have a second stream of income, so to speak, especially because of the economic environment we find ourselves. Now let's go deeper into politics, as it were. Why did you decide to start from the House of Representatives?
Okay. I could. Very interesting question you have asked. But my natural setting, I would say, not in how lawyers use this terminology, but I call myself an advocate.
Okay.
Of whatever I believe in. If you are going to say activism, my heart, I may not be the type of guy if I will be on the streets, but what I believe in, I will fight for it.
Yeah.
I will defend it. I will stand by it. And as such, the House of Representatives, as the name implies, you're representing the views of your people. You're representing what your people stand for.
Right.
And naturally, that's my default setting. So it was not difficult for me to make up my mind to say that I want to run for the House of Representatives, I want to represent my people. It's not executive in nature. People are gathering together to take decisions, to formulate policies, to make legislation, of course, to make laws for the people. To me, I think that's my default setting, naturally.
Okay, so you ran a campaign in 2018, 2019 in the PDP, and you didn't win when you learned.
I didn't win, I learned.
For someone, a young person out there who wants to contest elections and is scared, is afraid of losing, what are some of the lessons that you've learned that would put you in good stead going into another election cycle? And okay, I've learned some of these lessons and I know I'll do this better. And these are some of the things that young people can learn and say, oh, okay, so let me tap into Architect Salman's experience, because experience is invaluable,
One thing about politics that I tell people first, if your thinking is to go into politics for livelihood, don't go into it. If your thinking is to go into politics for some economic gains, don't go into it. Why I say this is that don't go in with the mindset that you want to go and make
there's money to share.
Because when you look at the people today, if you look at the senator, you look at the members of rep, or you look at people generally in power, don't envy them and let that be your driving factor. You must have what is actually driving you. For me, I'm driven by that passion, as I rightly told you, to do more for my people. Right. In my own personal, private capacity, I've done little. It is the same set of people who will urge you for you to do more, because you can't keep doing these things with yourself. What is wrong if this man is somewhere and can make a case for us, can advocate for us? No problem. Then you succumb to such a call. Now, one thing about politics is not about, as I was telling you, I say if it's for economic gain, also if it is for maybe about aggrandizement, you want to, please don't do that, because you fall. Politics, especially when you're in a contest, you are amalgamating goodwill of people alongside yours. And you can see your own goodwill is just of one man. You're bringing in the goodwill of other people to bear. Because you're actually going there to even represent them. You're actually going there to work for them. So, I contested the election. I lost. But I will tell you, I won the heart of people. That is the reason why today I still have that confidence to present myself for service. So, what I always tell my young people, it is not the number of times you try. It is not, as the saying goes, not the number of times you fall. That's the issue. But your ability to rise all the time. So, as far as me I'm concerned, once you have that passion, it's like even in business. Just because you lay your hands on something and it doesn't do well, just within it, you don't say, oh no, you're changing business. For you to succeed in everything, some are lucky, try the first time and get it. Some are lucky, you have to try. But eventually when you get there, what are we talking about? They say the end justifies the means. The number of trial is not our problem here now. It's what you have to eventually make out of it. So we need to teach our younger people in everything they do to be more focused, to be very resilient. And that is why I say once you have passion for something, trials will never be your issue.
Okay, so this is going on our YouTube channel and is watched everywhere across the world. For people in your constituency right now who are watching, what would you tell them your plans for them for the next 4 years? Should they give you the mandate to represent them?
Well, you know one thing about politics, every year, every electoral cycle, promises are always made. And some of these promises, they have become templates for everybody. Just pick it up. Oh no, I'm going to give you light, I'm going to give you this. All I tell my people is, look at who I am today to you. All I would promise my people is to represent them well. Carry them along in everything that we do. It's a team. I am just the privileged one that has been sent. All of us cannot be there. So something we're going to decide together means we're going to sit down and take a decision. But my manifesto shall be people driven. It's people's mandate. For you to come today and say, I'm going to put lights, I'm going to put this. The Buhari promised us a lot of things. So right now people are afraid to promise again. Buhari has promised. I'm not saying, but I don't know. So you begin to wonder now. I was watching Femi Adesina this morning, and he was taken up by one of the journalists there on channels. And they asked Femi Adesina, you were there when the president was going around saying we'll do this, specifically saying we'll make our refineries work. Yes. He said, Femi Adesina, aren't you disappointed? You know, that's a very embarrassing one. Being a journalist, aren't you disappointed? Femi said, well, we wouldn't say we are disappointed. That disappointment shouldn't be the word. We have promised and we have not yet finished. This ambition has not come to end. It will still work. My dear brother, the refineries, how long will it take to fix a refinery? They have just 2 years left, or even 1 year. 1 year. So how many refineries will work? At least if to say one refinery had worked 2 years ago, it would be hopeful the other one will work. No refinery has worked. So it's not about promises, it's about commitment. It's about you being dedicated, it's about you having your people at heart. And I think my people know me. And they know what I can do for them within limited resources, because they are also contesting for House of Rep, which is not an executive office. So it's not an office I should promise them to water, I should promise them this. But one thing I know I'm going to do is that I will, just like with the passion with which I do my own personal business, is the passion with which I will use to do that. Because if I'm supposed to be in the house for a period of time within a year, and you're not there to represent them, how then will you be able to fight for what belongs to them people? So definitely I can assure them that I will be there.
Okay, so as we round up, because I know that you have to run.
Go ahead.
Quite
Feel free. Feel free.
What are the things that you've learned in business that you want to bring into politics and governance, as it were? I mean, what are some things you... So say, for instance, you get into the House of Reps and you are made chairman House Committee on Works, you know, because or housing. You know, what are some of the things that you brought from your professional career, your business career, that you want to bring into politics or governance?
You know, the other time I was telling you that because I worked in civil service, I think it's also prepared me to understand how government works. The way I talk at times, I think I'll just be point blank. When I was running a campaign before, I tell my people that one of the advantages that I have, is the fact that my knowing of the working of government will also help me, I will use the word, to take advantage of that government in their own interest. Because if 300 and above of us are coming for struggling for sharing the resources of the country, you already have an advantage when you understand the workings of government. It is not just enough for you to go and legislate and then appropriate funds for certain things. Appropriating funds doesn't mean the funds are there. Appropriating funds doesn't mean it's being funded. Of course. You also must understand how government works. Unfortunately, that's why I say the government presently is not working as it should work. If it works as it should work, it shouldn't actually be an advantage. You just stay there, you have done your job, but you know you are there in this country. Even when money, even check has been written in your name, for you to take it to the bank, you will have to even go and lobby them. They will still hold your funds again. So these are the kind of things which I talk about. My exposure in business. Of course, at times it's difficult to run politics like you run your business. When you're running your business, it is your sole decision. Yes. But when you are in government, it is not your sole decision. It's a collective decision. Yeah. But the good thing you can do, you can bring to bear your business acumen into making your own contributions on the floor. And of course, by the time you make your own contributions, of course, people are going to reason with you. Rather than when you don't even make it at all. So you must be. I will surely be business-like. Once I tell people I'm a project man, I'm a businessman. And why do you say I'm a project man? Specifying that this is what you want to achieve within this period of time. That's project.
Beyond going to the House of Reps, do you have any other ambitions?
When I was born, I didn't even know I would go to school. When I was in school, I did not know I was going to do architecture. Now, after being an architect, I never thought while I was in school I was even going to end up in civil service. Now, when I started in civil service, I didn't know one day I was going. My aim was actually to be a PAMSEC. I actually wanted to be a PAMSEC. But along the line, if you asked me from day one, I wanted to be a lecturer. I wanted, if I still have the opportunity, I'll go back to university to lecture. But it may be a little bit too late now because my colleagues in the university now are professors. So where am I going to meet them in the leader? So let me just continue on this lane. So why am I saying so is that let tomorrow tell.
You have answered that question politically.
No. It's not a political response. All I'm just telling you is I am human. You can be called upon to do anything at any time. You don't even know. Tomorrow night we just end up being one Oba somewhere and I will just go sit down in the palace. Anything can happen. But the only thing is that make yourself readily available for positive calls.
My last question. 2023 is around the corner.
Very much around the corner.
What would you tell young people across this country right now?
I will encourage our young people. Thank God the voters card or voters registration is a continuous exercise.
Yes.
To please endeavor to still believe in the country. Because it starts from there. I have a lot of young men who don't even believe in our political process. And the future is for them. And if the future must be for them, they must participate from now.
Right.
So that their future is not mortgaged. Because the world has become, the whole thing is global right now. So you find out that your child can just stay in your living room and doesn't even know what you're talking about in your country, yet he knows what's going on in other parts of the world. And account gadgets. They should spare some time out. Go and do their registration. Develop a serious interest in how the leaders emerged. They must also come to the realization of their demography.
Right.
Once they come to the realization of this, with what the population of the youth is, they should be the ones we should be running after. Please vote for us. They can even sit down if the youth could come together and did a protest in Lagos, branded NSAS, which till date there is no empirical evidence that was funded by some politicians. Then I think me as a politician, I will be afraid and not take them for granted.
Yes.
That if they do that type of movement again across the country, I can assure you they will choose the next president. If they are committed. You could see that commitment in Lagos then. Until today, nobody is saying this is the man who sponsored this is the man. There are just suspicion, allegations, but you can see they were passion driven. Let them be that same way. Let them develop passion in governance and be driven that same way again. They will make an impact, and then they can negotiate their future rather than allow their own future be mortgaged. And by the time we get to that stage of democracy, I think we can now have what is called young democratic people alliance.
Architect Salman Idris is a frontline businessman and now politician.
Aspiring politician.
Okay, aspiring politician. Okay, now frontline businessman, used to be a civil servant and now aspiring politician.
Exactly.
It's been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on Leadership Breakfast.
Honestly,
And we wish you all the best in your aspirations to go to the House of Reps. We'll definitely keep tabs on that as you continue to encourage young people through various platforms. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. We also rely on you to also help us propagate our good deeds.
Absolutely.
And letting the world know what we can do, what we're made up of. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Daly. You're highly welcome.
All right, that's the Leadership Breakfast for this week. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the...
Do we participate in a politics of cynicism, or do we participate in a politics of hope?
You can't be a world changer without being a changed man. Only changed people can change their world.
It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does.